Okay. What was it about finding joy that made you want to come on board the project?
Yeah, Finding Joy is such a beautiful story. It's a romance, but it isn't like a straightforward love story, and I really love that. It's really telling the story through the perspective of these characters that kind of have a complex background, and you really don't even know what's kind of happening throughout the movie. So when I first got the script and I read it, I loved it. I fell in love with it. I thought it was super relatable and that it was really inspiring, so I was super excited to come on board.
One challenge is kind of doing the different worlds, the great New York City high life and the outdoorsy world. What were the
Yeah.
challenges of kind of balancing those two worlds?
Yeah, so it was really fun musically to kind of have a juxtaposition of, the music, how do we represent the city life, how do we represent all of this kind of organic, sort of woodsy moment where the characters are oftentimes alone and isolated from everybody. So I wanted to balance that out by kind of bringing this, by grounding the score in more of a jazzy inspired score background for New York, but also a lot of those instruments can kind of be a through line to organic textures. So upright bass really translates well to a bit more organic, kind of almost folk-centered score. So really just stripping it back for the organic sounds and using a lot of solo instruments and leaving in a lot of the human elements was really important as well for that side. So.
Now, it's a fish out of water, and our heroine doesn't love the outdoors life at first, but it grows to kind of, because how was arcing her journey musically? Because she begins to blend the worlds together a little more as the story goes on.
Yeah, I love that question. So one of the things I really wanted to do when I was initially composing was to assign Joy's character an instrument. So her theme kind of develops with piano, whereas our male protagonist, Ridge, is represented in guitar. So one thing I wanted to do is always bring these sort of plucky, but also this really sweet ballady piano theme to Joy, and that kind of evolves throughout the score. So as she's, really discovering this love for the outdoor life, it kind of evolves with the guitar a bit more and kind of develops from there. So that was kind of one way I wanted to approach that change in her character.
So we have a lot of composing students who watch our show. What scene was most challenging? Something that took a little while to get right for you, to find the sound, but you're actually most proud of in the end that you pulled off?
I would actually say, I think the song actually. So I had the privilege of writing an original song for the movie as well. I have a background as a songwriter and producer, and the challenge with the song is that it's not a love story. And how do you capture lyrically this sort of unsettled feeling, but also this love that's developing between these two characters? So really finding that balance of like, this is not a love song, but it has love in it, and it has these warm elements that that balance it out. So really finding those voices, I think, was a really fun challenge. And once we found it, it was just smooth sailing. And once Allison sung it, it was magical. Really, it was really a great experience.
All right, so we're at WonderCon. So my question is, let's hear your origin story. When did you know you wanted to be a composer?
So I started composing when I was 5 years old as a bit of unintentional rebellion because my piano, I did not really understand reading sheet music, so I would just compose my own pieces instead, to my poor piano teacher's demise. And that, luckily my parents were super supportive. They really encouraged that, and as I grew older, I just found a love of film as well. I would make these really silly videos with my friends, like in our backyard, and then I would actually put music to them. And then I discovered that's a real job, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that. So that's kind of how I put those two worlds together. And it really it came from a place of really loving the collaborative art form of film and music and telling these stories and being able to use that as a point of connection for people. Like it's such a special thing to be able to make something and then strangers watch it and feel connected. Like that's so amazing. So yeah, that's kind of where I started and where I'm at now, I guess.